Hello artists and welcome to Collage Level D. Oh, we're getting up there in the levels. Okay, so this is getting really exciting because now we're going to focus on the whole picture. All right, let's get going. I have my experiment page in front of me and I need to remember to put my name here. I'm at Collage. I'm on Level E. Woohoo. All right, so let's take a look at what my goals are today. Let's take a look at this. All right, it says I can, let's get that better. There we go, Miss Nichols. It says I can create and follow a plan. Ooh, okay. Now I can cut and glue in layers. Ooh, background, middle ground, and foreground. So not just background and foreground. Now we're adding in a middle. And then I can add details to my art by collaging or using mixed media. All right, so let's see what that looks like. Like always here, I have my first step, my experiment, and then I'm going to draw a line here, and then I have my second step, my mini art. Let's see what this might look like. Woo! Shaking the table here. All right, and so on my reference sheet here, I can see that my step 1 experiment is all about the background, the middle ground, and the foreground. I've done it with 3 pieces of paper here, and so are you. So let's see how that looks. I will need background, middle ground, foreground, so 3 pieces of paper. I want to make sure they're about the same width. So that means I might need to look through and I might need 3 medium pieces of paper, or I might need 3 large pieces of paper, or like 3 medium ones over here. If I'm struggling with getting all these shapes correctly and my lines aren't very shaped, I can always use a tracer, probably this square right here, or maybe this one up here, to really help me get my shapes correct. All right, so my background I've decided is going to be a sky. It doesn't matter what your background is, maybe it looks different. But what I'm going to do here is I'm noticing that this is just too big. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it down real fast to about what I think it should be. That's not a very straight edge. That's better. All right, so that's my background. I wanted to fill up my whole space. The middle ground, guys, is the stuff in the middle. I used my tiny itty bitty baby dots of glue so that when I squish down my paper, I don't get glue coming out everywhere, and I have massaged my paper on. Okay, I'm shaking the whole table here. Now for my middle ground. My middle ground would be, like I said, the things in the middle. And when I'm drawing it, I'm just going to make it really basic. I want to put it at the bottom, kind of where I think it should go, about how far I think it should go up. So if my sky is really big, maybe it's there. I'm noticing how small this is, and I know I have to fit in another layer. So maybe I go about there. I can kind of see, I kind of pulled it back to see how far it's going to be. And I'm just going to use, and I can use a ruler again if I'm not feeling very confident, but I can just use my straight edge to mark where I think it should go. Okay, then maybe I do a fun thing. So maybe I'm going to do mountains this time. All right. So, and then I would cut that out. I'm going really fast here for the sake of movie making. You are going to go slower. I've decided mountains are my friend today. All right, get all my scraps out of the way. And then I like to always hide my pencil marks, so I hide them by putting them on the back. So if that's you, then you can always flip it over. Just keep in mind it'll be flipped over. All right, then I'm gonna match up the bottom. I want the bottom to match. All right, there we go. And then I massage it. I can flip my paper over or go to the back of the page, massage it in. All right, now for my foreground. My foreground is smaller. It's all the stuff in the front. It's like the little details, like if I have a tree sitting in front or I have a person waving their hand. So then again, I'm going to show that by marking about where I think it should go. So I think I'm going to have some grass or some rolling hills here. But I'm noticing that, and I use the straight edge here, but I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of do what I think for rolling hills. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. All right, and ta-da, I have glued it down. I just we're going to experiment like this so that you can see the difference and kind of where they might go. So background, middle ground, foreground. All right. Now, step 2, making a mini artwork. Step 1 of that, A, is plan. Use pencil. So if I did that here in my sketchbook, I would just go ahead and make a line here, and I go ahead and draw out my plan. So maybe this time I want to make sure I have a background, but maybe it's not all blue. Maybe my background just has things in it. Like maybe there's a hot air balloon over here. And I'm just going to draw that out here real fast. And maybe there's some clouds over here. So I kind of know what that looks like. So I kind of know where that goes. I want to just draw it out so that I know where everything goes. I know what layers to put it in. So I'm going to be able to follow my plan now. Maybe there's just a nice ground level over here for my foreground. Maybe in my foreground I'm going to have a lake kind of popping up over here. And then maybe I will have a tree. This is just a really quick sketch to kind of help me figure out kind of where things go. I don't like that tree. And then maybe I have some mountains over here. And I want to show where things overlap. So if I'm looking at this, at my plan that I've now created here, I'm going to create in layers. I'm going to create in layers and follow my plan. So the first thing I notice is that my clouds are in the way back here. So I've already actually cut out some clouds. But I would maybe cut out some cloud and then I get those glued in. Okay. Then I would start to cut out my hot air balloon and get that glued down. Then what I could do is I could either use a strip like I did earlier maybe for my mountains, but I could also just get them cut apart, or I could just cut them apart and just use them individually. Okay, so then maybe my mountains, those are my middle ground. I would kind of layer those in and I would be gluing these down, right? And then I would take my foreground here and I would go ahead and get that glued in because it goes on top of my mountains. I would want to make sure if I have a gap like that, that I maybe grab another mountain in here and overlap some mountains. And then maybe I would go ahead and cut out the bits of my tree like I did in here and here. When I'm done with that, it says I get to add details to my art by collaging or using mixed media. So what that means is I have access to colored pencils from the last level. So I can use colored pencils to draw like I did last time, or I can start to draw things like light areas with oil pastels. I can start to draw shadows with a darker brown crayon where the light's coming from. My collaging details might look like this. They might be like little bitty specks of maybe some fruit on a tree, or maybe I could use a colored pencil after my collage is dry to go ahead and get those tree bark lines in there. So I want to make sure I can add details. I can do that with colored pencils, oil pastels, or Sharpies. And the Sharpies are like that. I want to make sure to put them back when I'm done. Remember that you want to leave your sketchbook open, and if it's really wet, put it on the drying rack. Happy creating!